friends, this is the Miss Volfie from our half acre homestead, and today we're going to make Sarah's salsa. Now, it's not exactly Sarah's recipe, but for this, I've revamped it for my amount because we don't eat a lot, and our taste buds. So here we have 1 pound of hot banana peppers, 2 pounds of sweet peppers, 2 medium-sized yellow onions, 2 bunches of cilantro, 5 28-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. We're going to need a half a cup of lemon juice so we don't have to pressure can this. We're going to boil bath can it. We're going to need 1 cup of minced garlic and 1.5 pounds of Niblets frozen corn. Now, she said, I know, my husband said the same thing, but he was a believer once she did it. So folks, we're going to try it. And I have my wonderful cousin Kathy here, and she's being a doll and peeling a mountain of garlic. So let's get started. Now, Sarah's recipe calls for tomato puree or crushed tomatoes. I'm using diced because I like more texture. And she also puts most of this in the food processor, and I'm not, because I'm going to make it chunky. Okay, let's start with the onions just because I want to measure them. Because Sarah didn't, she put certain amounts of measurements, but some of them I'm not sure I understood, like, you know, how big are the bottles of lemon juice and that kind of thing. So when it comes to this recipe, it's 1.5 cups of the chopped diced onion. And now we're going to do garlic because I want to get the garlic measured too. I'm going to use the small one because I can't find my rotary thing. But this will work because it gets cooked anyway. And whatever we don't use in this, I will be dehydrating for the cupboard. We are at 1 cup of minced garlic. So I'm going to up this to 1.5 cups. Now I'm going to use the small blade for the hot peppers. I know you people are going to laugh at me because these aren't really that hot, but you know what? They're hot enough for me. All right, when I have this all done and we're ready to chop cilantro, we'll be back. Okay, so here is our peppers, our garlic, and our onions. And other than the onions, I decided to chop everything small because I don't want my chunks too big. And here is our 2 bunches of cilantro that I got at the farmer's market yesterday, along with the peppers and the garlic. And again, Sarah puts all this stuff in the food processor, but I you know, it's a texture thing for me. So I'm just going to, I've rinsed this off, and it still has some roots on it. I may try and just plant these stubs in a pot and see if I can get it to grow in a pot, eh? Yep. The rest, we're going to chop. I'm actually going to take some of this more of the stem off too. I should have left it on the roots, but this is really nice cilantro. It's very, very pungent. I've never really been I've never known what to do with cilantro, but this recipe calls for it, so this is my chance to try it. Anyway, when I get this all nicely, I'm going to get this as coarsely chopped as possible, and then we're going to start putting things together. Okay, so here's our huge mixing bowl, and we're going to put all our peppers and onions and garlic in there. And yes, folks, I forgot to wear my latex gloves when I was cutting those hot peppers, and I'm paying for it because my face was sweaty and I wiped it. Now we're going to put in our 5 cans of diced tomatoes. These are pretty chunky, but then, you know what? I like texture. Now, I didn't see salt in this recipe, but I'm going to add some because, well, that's what we do. So we've got 1.5 pounds of frozen Niblets corn. Now we're going to put in, I can't find my recipe, our 1/2 cup of lemon juice. Actually, let's make it a whole cup because we are boil bath canning this and we are adding corn. And I'm going to put in, I'm going to say about 1 tablespoon of pickling salt.
That was more.
Was it more? Okay, tablespoon and a half, maybe two? Maybe two. All right, let's get the spoon and stir this. And I'm loving the mixture of colors here. All right, we'll see you guys at the stove. Okay, folks, now this is a boil bath recipe. But I use my pressure canner because I don't like dealing with baskets and having extra pots I don't need. So I've got my rack in the bottom, and right now it's half full of water. And I just use a regular stock pot lid when I'm using this as a boil bath canner. My jars have been washed, rinsed, and have been baked in the oven at 215 degrees for a minimum of 15 minutes. My lids are in hot water, not boiling, as per the new instructions for the new lids, because we don't want to ruin that cheap, crappy Plastisol gasket. And here is our salsa, minus 2.5 cups, because we're having it on chicken for supper. Please wait while we experience technical difficulties. Okay, folks, what you just saw was Mrs. Volfie turning off the camera when she thought she was turning it on. So what you missed was filling the jars to 1 inch from the top, debubbling, wiping the rims always with a clean, damp paper towel, and putting our lids on fingertip tight, and into the canner they go. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so I have 19 half pints in my canner here. And I'm going to dump my lid water in here because you need your water to be 1 inch to 2 inches above your jars. Now I'm going to put a lid on this, and when it comes to a rolling boil, I am going to process these for 15 minutes at a rolling boil. Then I'm going to shut it all off and let it cool down some before I take the jars out. Our timer has gone off, and I've just shut off here, and I'm just putting the lid back on, and I'm just going to let it cool down. There it is, folks. 19 half pints of salsa. And if I had have canned all this, which I'm putting over chicken, I probably would have got 25 or 26 half pints. Isn't that a lovely sound, that ping? This is the Miss Volfie from our half-acre homestead saying, canning salsa. Why didn't I think of that? Thanks, Sarah. Take care. Bye-bye.